The time is now to architect a life of excellence. What will we do? Who will we become? We decide today. This is Learn, Do, Become Radio with April and Eric Perry. Let's move onward and upward together.
Hello and welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry, and I wish I could just give each of you a huge virtual hug and welcome you to today's podcast. I love our community where we help people who are drowning in the details of life to develop simple systems so they can do what matters most, both personally and professionally. And today I'm talking about a question that helped me more than triple my goals, but that's helped me feel more excited about my life and my purpose and my mission than I have in a long time. So today I'm going to share that question with you and share 4 reasons why sometimes we get stopped or why we feel like we want to turn back and why we often feel that these big goals not only aren't possible, but that we shouldn't even think about them or we shouldn't even set them. And I'm hopeful that the words that I share, based on my own experiences, can help you as you're making decisions about this wonderful new year that's ahead. Okay, so the question, let's talk a little bit about it. Last month, I actually wrote out my goals for 2019, and I put them up on my wall, and I told my husband about them, I told my children about them, and I said, here's what I'm excited about, what do you guys think? And Eric was on board, and everything was good, and I was feeling like I was ready to start an awesome year. And I was actually feeling pretty excited. But then I went through a document that was sent to me by my online business coach, which is James Wedmore. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he has an awesome program called Business by Design. And I've worked with him for years learning how to be a digital CEO. He's really good at that. And so he sent me this document, it's 22 pages long, all about creating your business dashboard for 2019. And there was one question that was inside that document that when I read it, it inspired me to more than triple my goals. Not necessarily the number of goals, but the results that those goals were going to produce. And I want to share with you what that question was. He prefaced it by saying, often we create safe or logical or realistic goals. And I thought, yes, that's me. SMART goals, very specific, measurable, achievable, all that stuff. And I like SMART goals because they feel good. And I actually read that when you set goals that you believe that you have 70% chance of attaining, it increases your willingness to pursue the goal. So I've always felt that making safe goals was really important. But James asked a very unique question that helped me look at my goals in a totally different way. And I'm going to modify the question a little bit because this podcast is not just about business and being a digital CEO, but it's about being able to raise a strong family, being able to create a beautiful life, and being able to live your mission, which does also include being able to be financially compensated so that you can be financially secure and then be in a position where you can give back. But here's kind of a revised question I want to present to you. When you get to the end of this year, what would your life, family, and business need to look like in order for you to know that a miracle took place? Now, I was having my April day as I went through this, and I was sitting at a little table and eating a bowl of soup, and I was reading through this on my computer and taking notes on a little notepad. And as I read this, I thought, oh my goodness, I have never even thought about my goals in terms of what they would look like if a miracle had taken place. And I think part of the reason why is because a lot of times when I'm setting goals, I think I disassociate myself from the power of God. And I think, well, I need to work hard at my goals, but it's not that big of a deal. And I don't know if it really matters that much to God, which is just silly, right? But when I think about a miracle taking place, I think, what if I allowed God's power to come into my life more fully? And what if I didn't think about achieving goals as doing something by my own strength? And what if I thought about them as doing things with the power of God alongside me? Now, however you define God, your higher power, however you define that, I want you to think about the same question. Think about what it would look like if a miracle took place this year. So I went back to my goals and I revised them and I put together some results and numbers and outcomes that quite honestly excited me like I can't even tell you, but also looked pretty crazy. And then I showed them to Eric. He was like, what on earth are you writing down? But he loved it. And he's gotten on board with me. And the last few days, as we've been talking about these goals, new ideas have been coming so rapidly. And it's brought an excitement and a peace, which feels a little bit weird. Never before have I worked for something so big to me, but I feel so relaxed at the same time because I feel like I'm just in that sweet spot. Like, this is what I need to be doing. And whether I reach these levels that I've set or these outcomes that I'm hoping for or not, being able to move forward at this pace, with this intensity, with this excitement, while still taking care of myself and my family at the same time, it just feels beautiful. And I want you to feel this way as well. But I noticed as soon as I set those goals, I started doubting myself. I started wanting to shrink back. I started thinking, I don't know. And I want to share with you 4 things that I believe hold us back. And I'm just going to share a little bit from my experience and things that I've read or heard or learned. And then I'm hopeful that as you consider these ideas, you can start thinking about your own life and consider if maybe some of these things are happening inside your head too. All right, so the number one thing that I think might hold us back is what other people say, think, or believe about us. I've spent way too many years of my life feeling concerned about others, and I'm learning to get over that. But I want to share just a couple experiences I've had where people did say things about me that were completely opposite of where I wanted to go in my life, and where I was able to get past it. And this was back in my early days, like more than 20 years ago. Okay, so the first one was when I was working at Franklin Covey. Eric and I had gotten married. We were living in a little student apartment. We were finishing school, and I was expecting our first daughter. So I think I was like 7 months pregnant, and I'm sitting at a call center at Franklin Covey. I used to do organizational sales and customer support, and I thought Franklin Covey was the best place ever to work because I love my planner. It was so fun. Anyway, so I'm sitting there at Franklin Covey, my dream job, and I'm answering phone calls. So this phone call came in and, it has a little recording where you say, hello, this is April. Thank you for calling Franklin Covey, or something like that. How can I help you? I loved it so much. Okay. And then this woman came on the line and she said, what are you, 12 years old? Because I guess my voice sounds kind of young, or maybe it did back then. I don't know. But she says, you sound like you're 12 years old. And I said kind of jokingly, oh yeah, I'm just really advanced for 12. And then she said, yeah, an advanced 12-year-old who's answering phones for Franklin Covey. And then she starts laughing at her own joke. So I'm sitting there like, I really liked my job and I thought I was doing a good job. And here she's kind of mocking it like any advanced person wouldn't have this job. Okay, so I'm just kind of sitting there listening. And then she just went on. Oh my goodness, you're 12 years old. What do you want to be? A professional speaker or like a public speaker? And she starts laughing again about my voice, which cracks me up because now as I look back on it, like I did want to be a public speaker. I've always enjoyed speaking in front of people. Now I do it on a podcast a lot now, but we've had millions of downloads when you combine all the podcasts that I've been on over the past 6 years or so. I mean, I've been on hundreds of podcasts with millions of downloads. And okay, but when I was listening to her tell me I sounded like I was 12, I was not very smart for being in that position, and I was probably silly to even want to be a public speaker because of my voice that she found so ridiculous. I then moved on to find out what she wanted to order and what she was doing and got her taken care of. But I remember sitting at my little cubicle with my headset on, typing into the computer and getting her order set up, and just tears going down my cheeks because I thought, you know what? I'm pregnant right now. That's probably part of the tears. I'm trying to work to help support me and Eric and prepare for our baby. I'm doing the best I can. I was a straight A student in college. I have big things ahead of me. This is my job right now. But I remember thinking, wow, this person, this customer who never even has met me and doesn't know anything about me is here telling me what I can't do. And obviously I didn't listen to her because I'm here now. But I will say there are going to be people who are going to just thoughtlessly say things or share their own limited mindset or share their beliefs. And I'm sure she wasn't trying to be mean. It's just that she didn't think, a couple steps further. And I know I've been guilty of that too in my life. I'm sure I've hurt people I didn't even mean to hurt. So I'm not trying to put her down. I'm just trying to say, yeah, sometimes people think things like that. Another one was just an experience I had with my sister back when I was 15 or 16. And I wanted to try out to be a cheerleader at our high school. Now, all of my older sisters had been cheerleaders at some point or some kind of a cheerleader. And so I have 5 sisters, so there's 6 girls in my family and 2 boys. We got a big family. So I had grown up going to football games and watching my sisters cheerlead. And I had, I would sit and I'd sing the fight song and they'd practice their dances in front of me. I mean, that's how I grew up. I went to Wilson High School. I'm like this Wilson Bruin in Long Beach, California, thinking I want to be a cheerleader so badly. So the cheer tryouts came. And I was the first one to get a packet, and I couldn't wait. And I was there every practice, and I was practicing in my sleep. I mean, I could not wait to try out. One of my older sisters, who'd been a cheerleader, she was totally not trying to discourage me, but she said, April, you just need to know that cheerleading over at your high school has changed a lot since I was there. It wasn't really that hard to get on the team when I tried out, but now it's a lot more dancey, and you're not really a dancer, and it's just a lot harder now. So I just kind of want you to be prepared that if you don't make it, it's okay. It's just that it's really not that easy to make it. Now, I appreciated her watching out for me because, you don't want to be discouraged, but I really wanted to be a cheerleader so badly. So I practiced and practiced and practiced. And when I went to that tryout, I can't do a toe touch. I never could. I didn't do flips. I couldn't do any of that. And that wasn't really required. And I wasn't that great of a dancer. But I was so happy at that tryout that I made the team and went on to do varsity cheer, to JV and varsity, and even got to be a team captain for varsity cheer, and thought this was my dream to be this cheerleader. And I was so, so happy. Now, if I had listened to logic, which she was very logical, and I decided, I won't really try out because I don't want that disappointment, I would have missed that ability to do that, which I know at the end of the day, if I'm a cheerleader or not, it's not that big of a deal. But I loved it and had so much joy. And if I had stopped because of what someone else said, I would have missed out. So I want you to think about that in your life. Is there something that you really want to do, but you might be hearing voices telling you, not such a good idea? If your heart's still saying, yes, 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 and if it makes sense for you and your family, obviously you got to consider other things. But I just wanted to leave you with that thought, that what other people say, think, or believe about us, really that's not the only important thing. Okay, second thing that might hold us back is the gap between our daily moments and our miracle that we're searching for. After I had had this conversation with Eric, and then I talked with some of our team about these big goals and how excited I am and how this is going to be our year, we're going to make it amazing. Then, this was last night, I went to our daughter's basketball game, and Eric and I are sitting up in the bleachers and we're watching her play basketball. And then I had a series of things that happened from that point forward that kind of drove me crazy. So one is I start getting texts from each of my boys at home. One of them had screen time, and then the other one thought that one went over. And so I was getting a tattling text, and then I was getting the text saying, this child's tattling on me. So I'm getting the little tattling text while I'm at the basketball game. So I'm trying to respond to those, figure that out, and get them coordinated. So when I got home, everything would be fine. Okay, so I'm taking care of the tattling text. Then I get another text that we have a technical issue in our business. This code wasn't working, so something wasn't happening, and it affected our ad spend. And so I'm trying to kind of coordinate that via text. Then I'm realizing I'm hungry because I jumped from one thing to the next and didn't get dinner, but I had another meeting that evening and I didn't have time to get food. So I was like, oh man, I don't have food. And I was feeling kind of tired because I've been trying to lift weights in the morning. And, it makes you kind of tired when you're doing that. So my muscles were tired. I was hungry. I'm getting all these texts. Then I need to go to a meeting, but the address had been sent out wrong. So I'm on the way other side of town, this random place where the meeting was not. And as I'm going through all this, I'm thinking, are my miracles delusional? And I'm wondering, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Now, actually, I have a little notebook in front of me. I'm going to turn to the page because I sat down after I was having all these feelings and I wrote down what I was thinking and then what I needed to think in order to change. So here's just a few things I was thinking. The miracles are too hard. I have technical issues I can't get over. My dreams aren't really possible, and I'm delusional. So that was my little piece of paper. Okay, but then I thought, no, it's time for me to get my brain right because I've been reading As a Man Thinketh, which I'm learning that it's about how we change our thoughts. It's like this kaleidoscope. How do you switch the kaleidoscope, turn it a little bit, and see something new? So then I thought, you know what? I'm learning to solve bigger problems. As I'm growing and as our community is growing and as our family is growing, I'm learning how to solve these bigger problems and I'm learning how to work with my family and our team members at Learn to Become as teams, right? Then I wrote down, delusional is how miracles happen. You can quote me on that. Maybe. Okay. So when we're delusional, when we're not thinking just what's safe and what's logical, that's how miracles happen. And then I wrote down, with God, nothing is impossible. For our family scripture study a couple days ago, that's what we studied. With God, nothing is impossible. And what does that mean? And what are examples we've seen of that? And Eric was talking about Moses parting the Red Sea and all the Israelites walking through on dry ground, if you've read in the Old Testament. We were talking about experiences in our own life, and I was sharing with the children just that morning. It was like the day before. I'd been sharing with them. No, it was that morning. I'd shared how in 2016, in the summer, I'd written down this list of miracles that I was hoping for and that I needed. And in 2017, I went back and looked at that list, and every single one of them had been checked off. And part of it was through my effort, but mostly it was a gift from God. So I just want you to think about that. It's totally possible for us to overcome this delusion and for us to be able to work with God, because I do believe that with God, nothing is impossible. Okay, so once we're able to not worry about that gap between our moments and our miracles, let's go on to number 3, the third thing that might hold us back. This is that we are not organized. Now, I need to share this because this is what I am so passionate about teaching this year, and a lot more specifics are going to be coming at Learn to Become. We just had a team meeting this morning and said, hey, we're going to start sharing a lot more specifics and bringing people into the power of this program because it is like magic. I don't feel overwhelmed. I have a ton of stuff that I can do and want to do and need to do, but I don't feel overwhelmed by projects or tasks or lists or piles at all. I spend 0 minutes a day looking for things. I spend 0 minutes a day procrastinating. Now, am I perfect? And do I ever take breaks? Yes, of course I take breaks. And of course I'm not perfect. But I have zero stress around not being organized or, trying to get organized. If you want to live your mission, I believe that you must be organized, because if you're not, all you're doing is adding more and more details into a mess of stuff, and it's just going to stress you out more. And I've tried that before. I've tried adding more into my life when I wasn't organized, and it was crazy. But I'm not just talking about getting your cupboards and your closets organized. I'm talking about getting your mind organized, because I believe that once you learn how to organize your mind, then everything else can follow. A lot of times we start by trying to organize a drawer, or we start by trying to organize a kitchen or an office or something like that. And that's what we help a lot of people do, because that's the pain point and that's what people want. But what surprises a lot of people when they come into our Steps to Everyday Productivity program, for example, is they come in and they're like, why are you teaching me how to set up lists and how to organize projects and how to put tasks organized by context? Why are you teaching me all this? Why don't you just jump in and show me how to get my office organized? And it's because once you learn where things belong in your head and you know how to process projects, ideas, tasks, papers, texts, all the stuff that's coming in, then you're prepared to organize anything you want. You want to clean your house? Great. You want to organize your business? Great. You want to have an awesome vacation? Yes, do it. You can organize anything once your mind is organized. So that's what I'm excited about. And if you haven't come to our free class yet, learndobecome.com/step. Okay. Number 4, another thing that might hold us back is that we don't clearly know who we're fighting for. Or perhaps we're not remembering those that we're fighting for. When you think that your goals and your work are just about you, it doesn't really feel that motivating because you think, well, I can get by without it. Oh, it's fine. My life's not that bad. I've got Netflix. I've got a good family. I've got, the basics I need. I really don't need to set bigger goals. But when you can really understand who it is that you're fighting for on a daily basis, it changes the way you look at what you're doing. I had a screensaver on my computer for years that said, it's not about you. And that was a reminder I needed every day because otherwise I would get in my head and I would think, oh, I'm probably going to look dumb if I do this, or, oh, people might think XYZ, whatever. But I'm learning how important it is for us to remember who we're fighting for. I know how it feels to try to take care of myself and raise a family and take care of all the details in the community and try to build a business and to feel exhausted and to feel stuck and to feel alone and to feel afraid. I know how it feels to wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and not be able to go back to bed because you're so worried and you're thinking, how are we going to do this? How is this going to happen? I know how it feels to even not be able to breathe well because you think, it's just too hard. It's too hard. It's too big. I don't want to do it. I get it. And so the person I'm fighting for is the person who's in that right now. Like when I think about it and I wake up in the morning, I know there are people who are out there, and that might be you right now, where you've got good things going for you. You're intelligent. You're a learner. Life's good. But you feel that little pit in your stomach because your mind is spinning in circles and there's always something you're forgetting and you can't ever calm your mind because there's always that next thing. Well, what about that? Oh, what about that bill? Oh, I've got to run that errand. Oh, I think I forgot about that. What about the emails? What about the kitchen? Oh, I've got to make dinner. Oh, I need extra. Like that internal dialogue that exhausts you. I know how to solve that. I don't have that anymore. I haven't had it for 10 years. Do you know what a difference it makes in your life? When you can wake up in the morning with a calm mind, you can run routines, you can run your projects, you can keep your emails at 0, all the piles are gone, you can be there for your family. Like, do you know how that feels? Because if you don't, you are who I'm fighting for. A lot of times people don't even believe it's possible to get out of the overwhelm. And I hear this all the time. Well, if you're a parent, you're always going to feel overwhelmed. Oh, if you're an entrepreneur, you're always going to feel overwhelmed. Even this morning, I'm listening to this audiobook by someone who's like world renowned, who's awesome. I'm out on my little run and I'm listening to this audiobook. And the person says, you're never going to feel like you're on top of things. There's always going to be more you need to do. You're never going to feel like you're finished with your list. And I'm like, I totally disagree. I have my lists and projects set up so I feel accomplished and finished and excited and satisfied most of the time. That's not what this person is describing. This person is saying, no, it's just an absolute fact. You'll never feel finished. Now, am I finished? No, I'm not finished with my life. There's a lot more I can do, but my brain doesn't feel that sense of panic or overwhelm. I don't ever feel the need to procrastinate. It's what I'm teaching and what I'm feeling, what I'm living. Most people, I don't believe, even think it's possible. And I want to share an email that I received this week from a member of our community. Now, what's interesting is this person actually didn't purchase our program. She's not a member of our formal community for our STEP program. And the reason why I want to share this specifically is because as I've been thinking more and more about the work I want to do this year, I mean, yes, of course, I want people to invest in themselves And I want to continue to fuel our business, of course. But my main concern is not that you come and buy something from us. My main concern is that I am able to live my mission and help create the impact that I believe that God wants me to create. And this letter that came in just made such a difference for me, and I got permission to share it from Leah. It says, "Hi, April. I just want to take a moment during this week of New Year reflection to tell you thank you for the work you're doing and share what a difference it's made in my life. Back in the spring of last year, I attended your free webinar, How to Stop Drowning in Piles. Again, that's the one you can go to at learntobecome.com/step. I took pictures of all the piles. I hunted down an e-course that you'd offered previously and listened to your audiobook. I got my inbox to 0. I started a weekly review time and set up my command center based on GTD articles I found. I read The Power of Habit based on your references to it. As I reflect for 2019, I still have lots of work to do. I've let my all-important weekly review time slip. I've had to reboot my inbox 0 a couple of times. I still haven't read Essentialism, which is one of our favorite books by Greg McKeown. However, I am in a totally different place now than I have been in my life, ever, and that's in all caps. So much more peaceful, so much more organized. Just as you promised, I was finally able to start doing the habits and routines I'd come up with again and again, but just never had the system to support. My bed gets made every day. I do a load of laundry and dishes every day. My husband has a peaceful, organized office to work from home because it's no longer the junk and clutter stockpile it once was. I have decluttered and organized our home one area at a time. I have taken a parenting course I'd been wanting to do and have seen amazing results as a mom. I was able to be a faithful and consistent homeschool mom. That last one is one thing I thought I could never do. I never thought I could homeschool, even though it was a longing of my heart, because I just never thought I could be organized and consistent enough to do it. But I have. We started this past August, and it's going great. And it's all thanks to that one little webinar and its cascade of effects in my life this past year. So with heartfelt sincerity and utmost enthusiasm, thank you and Happy New Year." Okay, that just brings so much joy to my heart for so many reasons. I mean, you can just feel her enthusiasm and her confidence, and you can see what she's doing. She's reading the books. She's putting things into practice. She's making things happen in her life. And where she did have clutter and piles and felt overwhelmed, now look what she did. I mean, it's amazing, right? That's the kind of change that I want to help create in the world. It's people like Leah who I'm fighting for. And I can't let these things I've described today, what other people say, that gap between my moments of miracles, being disorganized, not remembering who I'm fighting for, I can't let those things stop me, or else all the people who need what I have, and I would have you, replace that with all the people who need what you have, they won't have the opportunity to be served by you. Now, I have this little book here called Success is a Choice by Rick Pitino. Back when I was studying for finals my freshman year of college, I got a phone call from one of my sisters. She said, "April, I was sitting at Barnes & Noble looking through different books, and I'm reading this one by Rick Pitino called Success is a Choice." And she started reading a little bit to me. And I started taking notes on what she was saying. I was so excited. And it carried me through my whole finals time. It was awesome. Well, I ended up getting the book later, and I still have it on my shelf, and I've had my kids read it, and my husband's read it. But I'm just going to read to you what's on the back cover. It says, "What's true on the basketball court is true in business and in life. You want to succeed? Okay then, succeed. Deserve it. How? Outwork everybody in sight. Sweat the small stuff, sweat the big stuff, go the extra mile. But whatever it takes, put your heart and soul into everything you do. Leave it all out on the court. But that won't happen unless you choose to make it happen. Success is not a lucky break. It is not a divine right. It is not an accident of birth. Success is a choice." Not fun. That's my little commercial for the book. So fun. Okay, one final thing I want to share with you before I close. It's about the concept of shining. Okay. I believe that God wants each of us to shine. Now, I've had a lot of fear around this for so long because I was afraid that if I were to shine, to use my talents and skills and try to do things to help others, that somehow it would look like I was trying to be this diva. Now, especially where I work with Eric, I was so worried that if I try to shine, it's going to look like I'm trying to outshine him. Or I felt like if I shine, it's going to look like I'm just out there trying to get a lot of attention. And I don't want to look like that. And so I was feeling really worried about this concept of shining, thinking, man, only narcissistic people shine. I think that was my belief. But then I had a little aha moment the other day because I called my sister while I was out on a walk. And I was telling her how I was feeling this fear of shining. And as we talked, I said, wait, I think I just realized something. I'm not trying to shine my light. I'm trying to shine God's light. And I'm trying to praise God with the work that I'm doing. And when you use your energy to shine for God, there is no way that whatever light you emit is going to make someone else feel less than. And she said, yes, that is right. When you're not shining just for you, but you're shining for God, it brings a new power and a new energy to the work that you're doing, and it's not about you. And if people want to say things about you, or they want to criticize you, or they don't like you, well, that's fine. That's up to them. Our mom always said, well, that's their SDB, their self-defeating behavior. She'd say that all the time. You'd come home and be like, this thing happened at school. And she said, well, if people are going to say things like that, that is their SDB. That was totally her voice. That was how she said it all the time. So I just want to encourage you that you are not going to diminish anyone by shining, and that your shining is going to look different than everyone else's. It's going to be based on your experience and your desires. But I've been getting these emails, these beautiful emails and comments from people who are saying, hey, I want to start this new thing, or I want to get my doctorate, or I want to help people in this way. And they're sharing with me their goals. And I'm thinking, awesome, go do it. There is no reason not to do those things that I believe God has put into our hearts to do. So this year, I am ready to start stepping more fully into that. I want to serve you. I'm going to be doing more videos and posts, taking you behind the scenes, showing you how to organize your homes, your projects, mostly your mind. I want to help you organize your mind, because when you can do that, you are going to feel amazing. I hope you have a wonderful day today. I hope that these ideas will strengthen you. And if you want to get links to everything I talked about today and review the points and have it all written out, go to learndobecome.com/episode 40. So it's just episode 40. We'll have it all outlined for you. I'll have links to the books I recommended, all the awesome stuff that's there. You are doing wonderful work. The fact that you're here listening shows that you have a desire to lift your sights and raise your vision and be able to more fully get your life organized so you can create this beautiful life of excellence. Okay, take care. Have a good day. We'll see you soon at learndobecome.com.